Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hello.
This is where we take that stack of information you provide, articles, notes, whatever you've got, and we dive in deep.
Yeah, we pull out the key insights, maybe some surprising bits, and help you get up to speed quickly. We're basically guiding you through your own research pile.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, you sent over an FAQ document. It's all about something called the WhiteNet token and their fair token launch.
Right. So our job today is to unpack what this document says.
Precisely. We'll look at how they say the token supply and its initial value get decided, dig into those fairness claims, and break down the referral system described, all based strictly on this FAQ you gave us.
Right. Sounds like a plan. Let's see what makes this launch tick, according to their materials.
All right, let's start with the basics then. This WhiteNet token symbol, WhiteNet, what does the FAQ actually tell us about it? And crucially, how does it say you're supposed to get it, at least initially?
Well, the FAQ presents WhiteNet as, the central token for whatever project this is. And the main way it says you can acquire them is through this event they call the Fair Token Launch.
So that launch is the primary entry point.
That's what the document strongly suggests, yes. It does mention that tokens might show up on some exchanges later, or maybe through the platform itself, but that's after the initial distribution. The focus is clearly on this launch event for getting in early.
Got it. Now, something that really jumped out at me reading this FAQ was how they handle the token supply and the starting value. The document says it's not just a fixed number they decided on beforehand.
That's right. And they make a pretty big deal out of this. The source explicitly states the total WhiteNet supply isn't predetermined. It's not set in stone before the launch kicks off.
Okay, so if it's not fixed, how do they set it? What's the mechanism described in the FAQ?
So the document explains it's dynamic. It's determined entirely by the number of white tokens, that's a different token, white, that people contribute during this fair token launch.
Ah, so there's a relationship there.
Yes, and they give a specific ratio. It's 1 to 10. For every 1 white token someone puts into the launch, 10 WhiteNet tokens are created.
1 white becomes 10 WhiteNet. So the total number of WhiteNet tokens that will exist right after the launch depends completely on how much white gets committed by participants.
Exactly. And the point the source seems to want to drive home is that this makes the final supply a direct reflection of community engagement, not some number the team just picked. It's supposed to be transparent and demand-driven based on who actually shows up.
That's definitely a different way to handle supply.
Yeah.
If supply is tied to participation like that, how does the initial valuation work? Is that also linked to the launch activity?
Yeah.
To the FAQ?
Yes, absolutely linked. The source explains the initial valuation of the entire pool of newly created WhiteNet tokens is directly proportional to the total value of the white tokens that were contributed.
I think the FAQ had an example for this, right, that helps make it clearer.
It does, yeah. The example they use is, say, $30 million worth of white tokens are deposited into the launch. Well, according to their model, that $30 million is the value representing 100% of the WhiteNet supply created. So boom, the initial market valuation for WhiteNet at launch is $30 million.
So less participation means a lower starting market cap. More participation means a higher one. The document seems to really stress that it's the community setting the initial value through their actions, not the team setting a price tag beforehand.
That's exactly the takeaway the source is pushing for their valuation method. It's framed as a direct market outcome of the launch event itself.
Right, which kind of flows naturally into this other big claim in the FAQ that this whole thing is a fair launch.
Yeah.
What does the document actually say makes it fair?
Well, it states very clearly that fairness is like the core principle behind this distribution model.
And how does it contrast this with, say, other token launches?
The FAQ paints a picture of traditional launches, often having these structures like private sales or discounted rounds that benefit early investors or big players more than the average person, things that aren't open to everyone.
Okay, so let's get specific then. What points does the FAQ raise to back up this fairness claim? What are the mechanics?
Okay, so the document lists a few key things. First, everyone gets equal access. Second, and this seems crucial, everyone gets the tokens at the exact same base price during the launch.
No tiers, no special rates.
Exactly. The source explicitly says no privileged tiers, no preferential rates, no hidden pre-allocations, none of that.
So the idea, according to the source, is that everyone participating in the launch starts from the same economic position. level playing field.
That's the message. The document frames it as aligning with, the democratic ideals people talk about with blockchain, and it's meant to ensure the earliest people involved get the best possible entry point since that initial value is set by them.
That naturally leads to a big question, one the FAQ does tackle. What about the team or funds for future development? Are tokens set aside for them?
Right, and this is another pillar of their fairness argument, according to the source. It makes a very bold statement. There are 0 pre-allocated tokens reserved for the team or any kind of development fund in this fair token launch.
0. That is different.
Yeah.
So how do team members get tokens if they're building this thing?
The FAQ says they participate just like anyone else. If team members want WhiteNet, they have to contribute white tokens during the fair token launch under the exact same rules, same price, same conditions as every other participant.
Huh. And what's the rationale the source gives for doing it that way?
The reason given in the document is alignment. It supposedly creates perfect alignment between the team's interests and the community's interests because everyone gets their tokens from the same event with the same economics. They state that not having separate team bags underlines their commitment to fairness and transparency right from the get-go.
Okay, that covers the core token launch mechanics and the fairness angle as presented.
Yeah.
But the document also talks about growing the user base, right?
Right.
There's a referral system mentioned.
Yes. The source details a referral system. It calls it a smart, automatic sub-affiliate system, and it claims it's designed to maximize returns for people who bring others into the fold.
And it's not just refer a friend, get a bonus, is it? I saw something about multiple levels.
That's right. The document describes a multi-level structure. Referrers can apparently earn commissions on 4 different tiers.
4 tiers, how does that work?
So tier 1 is your direct invite. Tier 2 is someone they invite. Tier 3 is the next level down, and Tier 4 is the 4th generation of invites stemming from your original link. The FAQ sums it up as 1 link, 4 tiers of automatic income.
Okay, that's quite layered. And what currency do the referrers get paid in? Does the source specify?
It does. The FAQ is specific here. The person doing the inviting receives their commission rewards in white tokens.
White tokens, got it. And the percentages?
The source lists them out. Tier 1 gets 30% commission, Tier 2 is 10%, Tier 3 is 5%, and Tier 4 is 3%. And that's calculated on the white tokens deposited by the people in those tiers within your network, paid out in white.
Okay, so the referrer earns white. What about the person who uses the referral code? Do they get anything for signing up via a link?
Yes, the FAQ mentions a benefit for the new user too. They get a 5% bonus. But, and this is a key distinction, their bonus is paid in WhiteNet tokens, not white.
Ah, WhiteNet for the new user, white for the referrer.
Correct. This bonus applies when they use a valid referral code to make their white deposit during the launch, so it incentivizes both sides. Referrers earn white for building the network, and new users get extra WhiteNet for joining through a referral.
That's a clear breakdown of the incentive structure, at least as laid out in this document.
Yep, designed to spur growth from both angles, it seems.
Okay, so let's recap. You've taken this FAQ you provided and really pulled it apart. We've looked at the basics, the WhiteNet token, and how the source says you acquire it through this fair token launch.
Right. And we unpacked that dynamic supply and initial valuation piece, how the document claims it's all tied directly to participation, aiming for a community-set starting point.
We also dug into the specifics of the fair launch claim, focusing on what the source highlights. Equal access, same price for everyone, and importantly, that explicit statement about no reserved team or development tokens. Team participates like everyone else.
And just now, we covered the details of that multi-tiered referral system from the FAQ, how referrers earn white across 4 levels, and the new users get that 5% bonus in WhiteNet.
So by going through these mechanics directly from the source material you shared, you should now have a much clearer picture of how this WhiteNet fair token launch is supposed to work, according to their own explanation.
Absolutely. You've got the key components as they've described them.
And maybe one final thing for you to chew on, just based on the mechanics we've discussed from this FAQ. How might this kind of launch model 1, where supply and initial value are literally created by the initial community demand, coupled with a referral system built to aggressively expand that community? How might that shape the project's early days? Think about growth, price discovery, maybe even community behavior, compared to, say, a project with a fixed supply set way in advance, or one funded mainly by private sales. It's certainly an interesting combination of mechanisms described in the source.